A group of businesses along the I-49 South corridor have formed an organization called the I-49 South Coalition. The idea is that this coalition is formed, funded, and driven by the business community. And you know, the whole concept is to take the political ups and downs out of the process, to sort of smooth out the curves, keep the momentum moving forward regardless of who's in office, who your local legislator is, or who's in Congress. And it's supported by businesses up and down the corridor, and will be a long-term effort to continue the momentum moving forward on completing I-49 South. Project is it's an extensive project. It runs all the way from I-10 all the way to New Orleans. The connector through Lafayette obviously is the most expensive and the most critical piece. It affects everything from hurricane evacuation and public safety to economic development for all the businesses that are up and down the corridor and have to move products in and out of our state. It affects the oil and gas, the seafood. It's really could be the #1 economic development project for the state. It's been identified by the State Department of Transportation and Development as their #1 mega project priority recently, so we're very encouraged about that. But the idea behind the coalition is to use the business community to support the project and to continue the momentum moving forward.
First and foremost is for the safety of the citizens. I mean, interstate limited access roads are a lot safer. Also, the evacuation route in case of hurricanes is another major issue why I'm pushing for this. A side benefit of both the safety concern and the evacuation is the amount of economic development that follows interstates. If you just look at the amount of expansion and population growth through the I-10, I-12 corridors east of Baton Rouge, it becomes very evident that economic development follows interstates.
We are bringing the business people together, hopefully to get them energized and get them become informed of the importance of I-49, especially today, especially with the economy today, and hopefully get their support in getting this infrastructure built. Put it into operation with the Panama Canal opening up, with the importance of Port of New Orleans, connection of Port City of New Orleans to Kansas City, which is a major distribution center in the country, is of vital importance to our economy, and we got to get this highway built. Starting from New Orleans, the section from New Orleans to Raceland need to be built. That's a major portion. It's probably the most expensive portion. Then from Raceland to Morgan City is basically completed. Then you go to Patterson. There's a portion in Patterson need to be built. And once that is done, and that's not a big portion, but still is an important portion. And once that is done, then you still have interstate all the way from Patterson to Iberia Parish, through Iberia Parish. Then you get to Lafayette Parish. So Lafayette Parish needs to be done. That hasn't been done, and that's going to be another expensive portion that needs to be taken care of. Then from Lafayette to Shreveport is done, and now with the effort of the Governor General and Secretary LaBalle, the portion from Shreveport to Arkansas border is being done, and as a matter of fact, there's going to be a ribbon cutting sometime in late November, I believe. And then Arkansas is very much working toward building their portion. And then Missouri, the entire Missouri is done, and they had a ribbon cutting on their section in Missouri on the 12th of December of last year. So we are on our way. Other states are working very hard to get their portion done. I know there's a major effort in Arkansas to get the Arkansas portion done, and I'd like for us in Louisiana to have the same kind of priority to put on this project. So once we get this highway finished, then we're going to have a major international highway all the way from Winnipeg, Canada to Port of New Orleans.
I am much more optimistic than I have been in 10 or 15 or 20 years maybe, because we now know that the state has sort of made it a priority as it relates to I-49. You know, they now have all the funding for I-49 North. It gives them the ability to now focus on I-49 South. We know that they are looking at letting out contracts for the design of sections of I-49 South. So for the first time in many, many years, probably since Governor Foster was in office, we see some real attention being given to I-49 South. So I'm very excited. We probably have in the neighborhood of twice the amount of traffic that that road was designed for. I believe in the neighborhood of 60 to 70,000 cars every day. It was probably designed for 30 to 35,000 cars. So we're having interstate traffic, and except for the fact that it's not just zooming through Lafayette, it's having to stop and start, stop and start, stop and start, which is inefficient for the businesses and inefficient for the people driving those vehicles. It's also much more pollution for the people who live around that area in Lafayette, and it's noisier. I mean, the brakes of those big trucks and the starting and stopping. So having an interstate quality road going all the way through Lafayette would really improve that whole corridor for our community.
Part of the problem that we have down here with moving up and down the corridor of I-49 or the future corridor of I-49 is a little bit more difficult because of the red lights, the amount of traffic, stop and go, all the way through to New Orleans, up through Lafayette, and then once, of course, you go north on the I-49 intersection, we can move much easier. Things flow much more efficiently, and compared to other states out there that don't have the congestion of an interstate moving through a city, it's pretty simple. We just move things much quicker that way. Right here, as we're known as the energy corridor, that's what this is, this particular portion of the highway, America's energy corridor. You've got large major oil companies here, Frank's Casing Crew, Knight Oil Tools, you got Baker Hughes, and on, other ones that move a lot of goods and services up and down this energy corridor. And the efficiency of us having this highway completed, because it is almost complete, the 160 miles from Lafayette all the way through to New Orleans. There's about 100 miles already complete, only about 60 miles left to be completed. And so once that's completed, things will flow much easier, not only for the company I represent, but all oil and gas industry, as well as all of the people that move up and down the corridor, going to grocery stores, hospitals, doing fun things around going to parks and whatnot as well.
I think it's all very positive, and it's something that's very needed for South Louisiana and for access to the rest of the country.
Tell us, from a business standpoint in the oil and gas industry, why is this important?
Well, having people that work in multiple states, we know the travel issues that my folks encounter and service companies around here encounter from the oil and gas business, and people from South Louisiana are showing their wares and their greatness across the country now with the development of all the shale plays across the country, and our expertise is being commanded and wanted by people all across the country, and so we need access to that.
I think the coalition is a smart move. I think it's very important and critical to the success of this project. The coalition is going to provide a few things. One is full-time attention. This project needs full-time attention. Secondly, it's divorced from government. It's going to work with federal and state and local municipalities, but it's a full-time attention by a non-governmental entity. And I think it'll create the energy that we need to make this project successful.
Basically, the funding option comes from the state or federal, and unfortunately, both federal trust fund is broke, transportation trust fund is broke, and state basically doesn't have the money. The OTD's budget has not been increased over the last 30 years. They're really operating on a shoestring budget. So ultimately, somehow, some way, we the taxpayer are going to have to come another way to pay for it. There are alternative ways called public-private partnership. There are tolling, there are TIF financing, and there are all those options available, and we need to start talking about those particular options and see which one is more acceptable to the public and hopefully move forward.
Have other communities in other states been successful in building similar type of highway projects?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, you don't have to travel far. Go to Texas and see what's going on. Go to Houston and see how many toll roads on Houston. If you ever gone to Disney World, there's no way in the world you can get from the airport in Orlando to Disney World without paying tolls. And maybe you are not aware of it because the taxi cab is paying the toll. But there are tolls everywhere, and the toll is becoming the major source of financing today in the country. Many states have the same problem as we do. They don't have the revenues, but they are reverting to toll as a user fee. You don't have to use the toll road if you don't want to, but if you're going to use it to get there fast, you need to pay for it.
This is absolutely fantastic. The Iberia Parish Airport Authority, Iberia Parish, has been pushing for the completion of I-49 south of Lafayette for many years, and it's great to see this finally taking root. The development of I-49 is imperative for our continued success at the airport. Iberia-Parish is doing a lot of things in anticipation of Highway 90 becoming I-49. Iberia-Parish is building an access road from the current exchange at Highway 90 at 675 to the airport, doing modifications to Admiral Doyle. So we're doing things internally in preparation for the I-49 to be complete.
What do you see as the major reason for getting this project finished?
The major reason, of course, being safety number one as far as evacuations, but also for the businesses that are along the energy corridor. Highway 90 is their lifeline, not just for Acadiana Regional Airport, but again for the other businesses along the corridor. So business enhancement, business development, and the continued success of the oil and gas industry in South Louisiana.
It will allow businesses an opportunity to expand along the corridor. That's a business point of view. Also for individuals, because that has been named Death Alley and everything else going east. And I think for families, for individuals, ease of access, safety on and off the interstate will be a help to them.
Your reaction to the growth of this coalition?
It's about time. It's long overdue.
I know that there's a lot of major service companies, but majority of it is small business here. And I think that with the transportation cost being driven down by this larger interstate, I think it'll help growth and expansion of the smaller businesses in that area.
What's your reaction to the development of this coalition?
I think it's a great opportunity for everyone here to have a voice on it and to be involved in the development of this fantastic project that's going to benefit the state for years to come.
From a disaster recovery and immediate response standpoint, it'll alleviate impacts of what we saw take place with storms like Katrina and Rita, which greatly affected New Orleans and South Louisiana.
There couldn't be a better time than right now for the coalition and the growth. As we expand and talk to more people, the more people become excited about the opportunities. I really believe all the stars are aligning. The north section has already been funded. It's now time to concentrate on getting the I-49 south completed, and everybody along the corridor is excited and buying in and realizing that we need a coalition to focus and the continuity that it brings to getting this project done.
The widening of the Panama Canal, there's going to be increased demand on the state's infrastructure. It will also alleviate some of the traffic and congestion in the Baton Rouge area because the I-49 South corridor will be an alternative route to access New Orleans and the Port of New Orleans. Incredible venue for hurricane evacuation and economic development that will affect all of Louisiana and really all of the country.
This coalition is going to be driven by the business community, and that's where this is. That's where this road is going to really benefit the most. I mean, it's going to obviously benefit consumers, but the business community, especially with this being the energy corridor of the United States, we know it is with Highway 90 all the way to New Orleans. With the amount of energy business that's being done along that road, those big trucks are coming and going all day long, and so it's a critical piece of why we've got to get this done. But the coalition is not being. It's not going to be funded by politicians. It's not being funded by the government. It's being funded by businesses, and the business community is who needs to step up and start demanding that this road get completed.
We want them to visit our website at drive49south.org. That's drive49south.org. But we need to spread the word about this great project and how vital it is for all of our nation.